Boom! So in this video, I'll be explaining to you what is a doji. So a doji looks something like this. Okay, there are different variations to it, right? But I'll explain to you what is the technical definition of a doji. A doji basically means that the open and the close are at the same price level, right? So this is why you don't see any colored bodied on this candlestick pattern, because the open and the close are at the same price level. And with that said, right, I've said earlier that there are variations of it. So there are some doji which is called the dragonfly doji, some is called the gravestone doji, and etc. And basically, to read the price action of the doji, I would say the key thing to look at is the wick, all right, to show you how strong the price rejection is. Because if you have a doji that looks like this, right, where the upper wick and the lower wick are pretty much equal, it's telling you that the buyers and sellers are pretty much in equilibrium. However, if you have a doji that looks something like this, right, then the wick is so much higher. This one over here, it's telling you that clearly the sellers are in control, because it has pushed price lower all the way, closing back where it last opened. So this is, I believe, is what they call a gravestone doji. And the dragonfly doji is something like this, where it's the opposite of the gravestone, where you have a very strong price rejection of lower prices, and the price finally closed back where it opened. So you can see that this one, price has rejected lower prices. As for this one, the price has rejected higher prices. Okay, so all these three, this, and this, they're all doji. But as I've said, right, there are different variations of it depending, on where the wick moved during the duration of the candle, whether it moved higher and got rejected, or it moved lower and then got rejected. So with that said, let's have a look, right, at some doji on this chart. So this one over here, I would consider this a doji. You can see that the price has actually opened and closed at the same level, but you can see that it rejected lower prices, right? You can see this rejection of lower prices. Where else you can see that this is very close to being a doji, but notice that there is actually a very small higher close, a very small higher close, just marginally, but I would classify this as a doji as well. I mean, I would just say that this is a price rejection of higher prices. Okay, so as you can see that I'm not really a fan of going straight directly to the technical definition. I think what's more important is the context of the candlestick pattern and what the market is trying to tell you. So there's really no need to memorize the exact pattern if you can understand what the market is trying to tell you. So this one again, I would say this is somewhat of a doji again. Again, I believe there's a very marginal, you can see as I zoom in, very marginal higher close. Okay, but the open and close is still very near one another. So let's scroll back and see if we can find a few more doji. So this is another doji. This is another one. Okay, and of course the meaning with each of them is all different depending on where the price got rejected, whether it's higher or lower. Okay, so let's do a quick recap, right? Doji basically tells you that the candlestick pattern has opened and closed at the same price. But if you have seen earlier, right, sometimes there is just a marginal higher close or a marginal lower close, and you can consider them as a doji, right? It's not wrong. There are definitely variations of it. Dragonfly doji, which tells you bullish price rejection, and the gravestone doji, which is more of a bearish price rejection, right? And needless to say, the longer the wick, the greater the price rejection. And this is basically the clue that tells you, or rather to categorize the different types of doji that you see on your chart, to see where the wick has rejected the price, whether is it higher prices or lower prices. So with that said, I have come to the end of this video, and I'll see you in the next.